In this video, we are going to talk about how to use the word infatti in Italian. Cominciamo!
Buongiorno a tutti e benvenuti a Coffee Break Italian. Io sono Mark.
Ciao a tutti, io sono Francesca.
And as Francesca said, we're focusing on a very interesting word this time round. Scott, our listener Scott, got in touch and said, how do you use infatti in Italian? Is it the same as in fact in English? Buona domanda, Francesca.
Infatti, Mark.
So tell us a little more about how infatti works.
Well, infatti is a lovely Italian word which we use very often when speaking in particular. And the interesting thing about this word is that it can have different meanings depending on how we are using it. So I think it's useful to see some examples.
Perfetto. Okay, let's look at the first example. Are we going to do a little conversation here?
Okay, so for example, if I'm asking you, Mark, hai la febbre?
Okay, hai la febbre. Have you got the fever? Have you got a temperature? And what might I say in response?
You could say, sì, infatti, penso che non andrò al lavoro.
So, sì, infatti, penso che non andrò al lavoro. So,
Perfetto.
there, infatti, does kind of mean in fact. Yes, in fact, I think that I won't go to work. Penso che non andrò, that's the future of andare,
Sì.
al lavoro. So, sì, infatti, yes, in fact, I think that I'm not going to go to work. So there we've got a good example of when infatti does actually mean in fact, but it doesn't always.
No.
Infatti.
Infatti, bravissimo.
Let's look at another example then.
Ok. If I were to say, fa proprio freddo oggi?
Okay, so Francesca's saying fa proprio freddo oggi. So it's really cold today. What might I say?
You could just say, infatti.
Yeah, so that's a great use of it. So, and it's really, it sounds really Italian to say that. Infatti, yeah, you're right. That's true. That's right.
Sì.
Good. Okay. So, what about another use when maybe this time would not necessarily be in a kind of conversation, because we can use it ourselves if we're speaking, can't we?
Yes, of course. You can use it as a reaction, like the other speaker, as we've just seen here, can use infatti as a reaction to something that has just been said. But we can also use infatti inside a sentence we are saying. So, for example, Giulia adora il calcio.
Okay. Giulia adora il calcio. Giulia loves football, soccer.
Infatti va sempre allo stadio.
Now, there we wouldn't say, in fact, it's maybe more like, that's why. Infatti, va sempre allo stadio. She always goes to the stadium. Va sempre allo stadio.
Sì, esatto. And in this case, we're using infatti to reinforce or to explain with more information something that we've just said.
Good. Okay. Now, let's go the other way. Let's come from English, because in English we use in fact in a number of situations, and there are in fact certain situations where we wouldn't translate it with infatti. We would have to use a different word, especially when we're in a sense contradicting what's gone before.
Sì, capisco cosa vuoi dire, Mark. And we have to be careful here because English and Italian don't work exactly in the same way. So let's take an example from English this time.
Okay, what about, in my opinion, it was Anna, but in fact it was Laura.
Okay, yes, in this case, we cannot use infatti in Italian because we're not really confirming something that has just been said. We would need to use something else.
Okay.
Secondo me era Anna.
Me. So, secondo me era Anna. So, in my opinion, it was Anna.
invece or in realtà.
Ok, so invece one word.
Sì.
Invece era... chi era?
Laura.
Laura. Avevo dimenticato. So,
Infatti.
invece is one possibility there. We could also have said in realtà, two
In
words.
realtà, sì.
Ok, in realtà. So, invece or in realtà, secondo me era Anna, in realtà era Laura. So, in my opinion, it was Anna, but in reality, invece,
Sì.
on the other hand, it was Laura. Give us another example. What could we say? It's not interesting. In fact, it's boring. How would we
Ok,
say that?
ottimo esempio, sì. In italiano non è interessante.
Non è interessante.
And then again, we could say invece or in realtà or even anzi.
Anzi, I like so. Let's use that one. Anzi, and
È
è
noioso.
noioso. So è noioso. Ok, so non è interessante, anzi è noioso. Or invece è noioso. In realtà è noioso. Benissimo.
Perfetto.
Okay, well, hopefully that has answered Scott's question, and Scott now can tell the difference between infatti in Italian and in fact in English. If you have a question like Scott, then simply get in touch with us. Head over to coffeebreakquestions.com where you can leave your question, and we'll do our best to include your question in a future episode of the show. Now, if you've enjoyed this, if you've found it useful, and if you've learned something today, then why not give the video a like and make sure you subscribe to our channel. And if you hit the little bell icon that appears, then you will be updated whenever we post a new video.
And if you wanted to practice infatti a little bit more, you can write a sentence or a short dialogue and post it in the comments here below.
Perfetto. È tutto per oggi. It has been a very interesting lesson.
Infatti.
We'll be back soon. Until then, grazie mille e arrivederci.
Ciao ciao!